on the previous episode of Ménage À Mind.
How much time do you guys spend in the nude? I think you're up to the 10 millions, bruh.
I looked down, and I was like, you really cut me.
Unfortunately, us Black men in America are consistently told we're not good enough, we're not great enough, we don't deserve, and that we should just be happy with whatever it is that we are given. The weighted obstacles that us Black men experience have led to this increasing anxiety, depression, and unfortunately suicide. As a coping mechanism, many of us have developed an unregulated ego. This ego has allowed us to create this false sense of confidence, belonging, and help us overcome all of the challenges that we are faced on a daily basis. It allows us to stand up for ourselves. It allows us to speak up. It allows us to feel confident. It allows us to feel deserving. And a lot of times as we experience imposter syndrome, it's our ego that remind us that we can actually do the things that we wish to do. As we grow into becoming healthier, as we grow to becoming men, we then learn that our unregulated ego is only going to lead to our downfall. And many of us have been successful in transitioning into developing what we call a healthy ego. That's when we understand the limitations, but also the responsibilities that we have. That's where we no longer lead with arrogance or entitlement, but instead we rely on our education, our understanding, and from our proven track record to deal with whatever is in front of us. Us Black men deal with an infinite amount of responsibilities, of pressure, of expectations that we rarely discuss. And a lot of times we have to learn how to cope with that and not allow our ego to lead to our demise, but instead to our success. The truth is, ego is not our enemy, it's our friend. When it's well taken care of, when it's regulated, and when we do the work to ensure that our ego is well positioned. Welcome to Ménage À Mind. For this conversation, I felt like there was no way that I could do this without having some other successful Black men with me. So, before we even start the conversation, I want to ask you guys, is there anyone that you wish to apologize for due to your ego playing a part into that relationship? This is the time. This is the work. Accountability.
I can't identify a person, but that doesn't mean that it didn't happen. So whoever felt that my ego disrespected them, I apologize to you. That was not the intent.
My man. What about you, sir?
Yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and say like I don't have anybody to apologize to because that would be like kind of wild. Nobody goes through life without having somebody that they impact in a negative way, regardless of whether it's ego or whatever. But I can't think of anybody off the top of my head right now. But what I will say is what normally ends up happening with ego is you don't know until afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And then it takes some time for you to do that like self-reflection and kind of check yourself and hold yourself accountable. And normally what I do in those situations is I do reach out if they want to have that conversation, right? Like you can't force it. But yeah, like like you said, like if there's anybody that feels impacted by something that I said or did, and I definitely apologize because my main thing is I never want to invalidate anybody or
Copy that.
change anybody's experience.
I'm about to do something that's very egotistical right now.
Okay.
I'm going to apologize to my goddamn self.
Mm.
A lot of times I tend to overexert myself, overexpand myself in an attempt to continue to produce at the rate that I feel that I'm expected to or that I aspire to be.
Mm,
And a lot of times that is to the detriment of my health, my rest, my mental health, and to those around me. So, Mac, on behalf of Mac, I want to say that I am sorry and I promise to do a lot better.
I like that.
Mhm.
I like that.
All right. Sir, would you mind introduce yourselves and let everybody know who the hell y'all are?
Yes, absolutely. My name is Kizzle. My actual name is Kofi. I'm the founder of Express Yourself Black Man. It's a platform, a community of healing for Black men specifically. What we do is we create content mainly on social media geared towards Black men and the things that we face, right? And so what I do is I lead with vulnerability
Mhm.
by talking about things that we normally don't talk about as Black men. Talk about depression, anxiety, breakups, suicidal ideations, a variety of different things that I've experienced and that I know that we deal with as Black men. And then on top of that, try and be solution oriented. So not just talking about the issue, but how can we craft solutions around those issues and the things that we experience as Black men, and then further connecting Black men with therapists, connecting Black men with doctors, and that's what we do inside of our Safe Haven platform. Is we connect Black men with resources. So
Gotcha. Thank you for that, man. On behalf of all of the Black male therapists out there,
mm,
we want to say that we appreciate you. We thank you for the work that you are doing.
mm,
You're definitely one of the ones that is leading the charge.
I
So
appreciate
no
that.
matter what anyone say about your title or lack thereof, that don't really matter.
I appreciate
Because
that.
at the end of the day, the work that you have done speaks for itself.
I appreciate
And
that,
if
bro.
anybody ever tried to disrespect you for any of that,
Mm.
you let me know.
Mhm.
I'll pull up.
I'm gonna say, all right, let me
I'll
write this
pull
down.
up.
Let me hit Mac up.
I'll pull up.
All right,
What about you, my guy?
you got a hitter now, right?
Mhm. Yeah, I do. I do.
All right. So my name is Kenald. So I am that frontline resource that express Black men. That's who I am, right? So in the sense of, when you're referring somebody, they're referring them to me. So I'm a therapist. I work hand in hand with Black men, men in general, women as well, families and couples. So what I do is I work as a licensed clinical social worker. I cover the New York State area. And I also work with the city of New York, where I'm a in the child protective field as a
Mhm.
facilitator
Yeah.
for the conferences. So, I help families not only from the therapeutic realm, but also when it comes to the assessment realm. So that's what I do.
Yeah. So one, I just want to thank you guys for being here because this is a very important conversation.
Mhm.
And secondly, I want to share that the reason why I chose you guys is one because you guys are doing the work.
Mhm.
Also, you guys are very successful, and a lot of time, ego and success go hand in hand.
Mm.
So
Okay.
it was my understanding that you guys would have some very interesting intakes,
Mm.
hot takes, first takes on how you've regulated your own personal ego as you continue to aspire into this world of success and social media. So
Yeah.
to get us started, what is your definition of ego? And what is the relationship that you currently have with your ego?
Definition of ego. I think of it kind of as like uh an alternate version of myself that
Mm,
exists.
okay.
Um,
Sasha Fierce. Your alter ego, right?
I mean, I guess, but I think of it as like a combination of my confidence, my imposter syndrome, like all the things that kind of make me me in
Okay.
a sense, and my relationship with it. I would say it kind of fluctuates. I saw when you were talking about it, I was like, man, that's so true. Like some days I'm like, man, you got to do more. You're not doing enough, right? And that's when I have a kind of like a negative. I feel like I have a negative relationship,
With your
or
ego.
my ego is kind of it's down. And then I have other days where I'm like, man, you him. You know what I'm
Top
saying? Yeah,
five.
you I'm like, yo, bro, you doing it. Like, yo,
Top
nobody's
five.
doing it like you, bro. Like, come on, bro. I have my days. So it definitely fluctuates at this point. But I'm trying to get it to a point where it's like I'm smooth sailing. So every day I'm trying to strive to have that.
I like that definition. Um, I look at ego from an angle where ego is, well, pretty much, as being a therapist, we do a lot of studying. So one person we study when it comes to ego is Freud, and he looks at the id, the ego, and the super ego, right? So just like you were saying, like, I'm that guy in those moments, that would be like your super ego. And when it comes to like your natural urges, that would be your id. And the ego's role is to balance those two,
Mm.
right? So I hone in on my ego because I need to balance those two. I don't get alarmed when it fluctuates where I'm leaning towards either the super ego or the id, because I know that I'm relying on this ego to step in when it reaches a point where it could be harmful to me or others.
Right.
Nice.
So I look at the ego from the sense of that's the captain of whether it's my personality or my behaviors, the way I think or the way I feel.
Nice.
Mhm.
So for me, right, I look at ego as a combination of courage, because a combination of courage and my resume. My resume is the things that I've done, the things that I know that I can do because I've done it before. Courage is my way of combating fear. Just reminding myself, even though I've never done this before, but I can do it, right?
Mm.
It's my inspiration, right? So a lot of times I might need more courage if I'm going to do something that I've never done before, but it's still rooted within my resume, because that's the reminder that, hey, you've already done the work, so you can aspire to higher heights.
Okay.
And no matter what comes up, you can always rely on your knowledge, right? So yeah, there are days where I'm like, yo, I don't got it today,
Nah, facts.
but I will get a haircut. I look in the mirror.
Mhm.
I'll be like, yo, you top 2, and you're not
That-
even number 2.
That was today, huh?
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, today was one of them days, huh? Yeah.
Top 2,
Mhm.
and you're not even number 2.
Mhm.
If I may ask,
What's up?
what is one thing that your ego has cost you in life,
What's one thing that my ego?
especially your younger self? Right, because we're all healed now. We're all regulated now. We're all doing therapy. We're all doing the work,
Mhm.
right? But prior to that, in our teens, right, when we had to wear certain masks in order to survive, right, because it's survival of the fittest out
Mhm.
in society for men, specifically Black men.
Mhm.
What did our ego cost us?
Oh yeah, I got it.
What you got?
Relationship, man.
Ooh, what's her name?
I'm actually with her now, but in the past, it definitely cost us our relationship. Naima, that's my girl's name
That was a
now.
good recovery, man.
I mean,
I saw on him. I saw.
the-
Let her know right now. Let her know right now how
Let
much
her-
you love her, how much you
Oh
appreciate
yeah,
her.
Naima. Listen, look, I love you so much. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for all the things that you do. But yeah, to speak specifically on our past, the reason why, part of the reason why we broke up is because my ego wouldn't allow me to see her as an individual.
Ooh.
You get what I'm saying?
No, I'm not.
She became more of, this is mine. And
Property.
yeah, not
Belonging.
necessarily property,
An entitlement.
but in the sense like, yeah, entitlement. This is mine. You can't do this, because I was so insecure.
Insecure, okay.
Exactly. You get what I'm saying?
Okay,
And
DJ
so,
Envy, I got you.
and so it was difficult for me to allow her, for lack of better words, right, to practice that individual autonomy, right?
Nice.
Because of that insecurity, because of me being anxious about her not being in a relationship or us not being in a relationship together. So after that, I had to do years of like just reflection. But even after that, I had to do therapy on top of that, because I had to realize, I had to understand where that attachment was coming from, where that unhealthy attachment was coming from, so I could be able to navigate relationships in a healthy manner. And I still work on it to this day, because like, it's not like it goes away completely. You know what I'm saying? You still have moments in which like your subconscious will kick in, and then you're automatically responding to something off of a trigger,
Mhm.
versus actually taking time to assess the situation and think from your rational mind. So I still work on that to this day. But yeah, I would say my ego definitely cost me a relationship in the past. Yeah, I would say a few relationships, but that's one of them. Yeah, that's one of them.
Because they weren't meant to be.
Yeah, no, true.
Right?
True. I needed that.
That's what the self-help culture says, right? It wasn't meant to be. Girl, God didn't have those plans for you. Boy, damn well she was not the one. No, your ego got in the way,
Mm.
right? Your your overview of yourself, that grandiose, even narcissistic view of oneself, led to you not being able to create a space where both individuals could exist within a relationship. For you, Ken, I will not ask you the same question because, come on, man, it's too easy for you, right?
I was getting ready.
Oh, you about to
Oh,
you had some bullets?
No.
Yeah.
Welcome to Ménage À Mind. It's never expected. What is your ego costing you now?
I think
You're answering that too quick, man. I don't need you to take like a dramatic
take a-
pause and
you know,
think it through.
That I think was a pause. Right
Oh,
there.
okay.
I'm
Okay.
literally thinking. What is it causing now? It's a therapeutic podcast. at this
I
point.
don't need you to be a therapist, man. I need you to be you.
I got an answer for that too, man.
Well,
I'll be right back to you.
Mm-hmm.
What is your ego costing you now?
I feel like
Like it's not a feeling. I feel. Put the feeling.
I feel ...
Sir.
The ego at this moment, what is it costing me now? Sometimes we don't know what it's costing us until we lose it,
Ooh.
right? So I have to kind of assume that it's costing me something. But when it comes to the present time, I think that when it comes to regulating the ego now is because I feel like I'm in a place of growth.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna have the higher highs, I'm gonna have the lower lows as well, or higher lows, I should say. You know, there was a stock person in here, he probably knows what I'm talking about when it comes to the charts. But, you know, that means that, you know, I'm reaching different plateaus in my life that I haven't been at. And now it's probably going to impact the relationships that I have with certain people. Not necessarily mean there's going to be negative, but it might be a time of growth. And I may have to get into that vulnerable side and tap in with people and open up some uncomfortable conversations with people to help the progress. That's where I get down to the lows. So that's where it's costing me. Do I know how much it's costing me right now? Probably not.
I can tell you.
All right.
You want it?
We're going to talk about that later, right? So
off mic.
So that's where I feel that it might be costing is on my present growth.
How much time are you creating for self-reflection as you continue to increase your visibility and as you continue to network outside of your comfort zone?
I give myself a lot of time of self-reflection, but I think opening myself up to constructive criticism, other people's feedback is probably where I'm lacking. Right?
Talk that talk, black man.
So, and that's not just hard for me. I know it's hard for most men.
Yeah.
You know, when we could sit back by ourselves and whether we drink, we smoke, or whatever our vice is, and reflect and see what's impacting us. But are we going to open it up for someone else to kind of share some feedback for us around that? That's where we tend to have that barrier and that struggle. And
Okay, which leads me to this question, and great point. As men, why do we struggle with feedback so much? Because I actually crave it. I'm at that point in my life that I'm not looking for the applause as much. 2 years ago I was. Now I was talking my shit on social media. Now I'm saying I'm letting everybody know I'm top tier, right? But nowadays I don't care for that because I already have that belief. I've already built that resume, so courage for that is no longer needed because it's already established. Now I'm looking for the critical feedback. How do I get better?
you kind
Right.
of answered your question.
Which is what?
The foundation that you already built doesn't rely on certain things. That's why you want that critical feedback.
Yes, but I agree. But for me, is the critical feedback allows me to identify the points that I'm not looking at, the things that my blind spots. Right. So when I can hear another person's perspective, that I have to trust you, I have to respect you, I have to care about what you have to say at first. right? So once I get that, it allows me to see a greater field and ways to improve.
Right. So I think your initial question was, why is it hard for us to receive that feedback, right?
Yeah.
It's fragile ego, bro. Like
unregulated ego.
Yeah, no, honestly, right? Like when you think about it, it's the thought process that if somebody has something to say
Negatively.
and feedback is not always negative. You know what I'm saying? The thought process that any type of criticism or feedback that I get that isn't in alignment with what I'm already perceiving uh, can shatter my reality because my ego is so fragile. When you're confident in who you are and what you're doing, feedback helps you to become more of who you're supposed to be, or you can deflect it because you're like, you know what, I don't really agree with that. I'm going in my own lane. But when you're on shaky foundation, like you were talking about,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't really have a sense of self, anything that comes in can tip you over.
Correct.
You get what I'm saying? And so that's why it can be difficult.
Yeah, because you're not standing on your identity.
Right.
It's a falsified perception or projection of who you are, and
Right.
any negative feedback that could tip the scale tends to go the opposite way. So therefore, you tend to become alarmed and unregulated when those type of feedbacks is actually given.
Right.
So you're saying that I've done my work.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was very egotistical of me, of course, but it's a
That's
conversation
the thing. That's the theme.
based on ego, right? So what are the ways that you guys have shed your ego to develop a healthier sense and a healthier relationship with your ego? What parts of yourself did you have to address? Did you have to shed?
I can give you an example of ego
Okay.
in business.
Ooh.
I can give you a story.
Okay.
So I have a person that I collaborate with, that I do business with. And I remember when we first started doing business, everything was cool. It's another black man, everything was straight. And he does fitness content. I do the mental health side. So I was like, okay, this is perfect. You know what I'm saying? Like we get holistic healing, everything is good.
Yeah.
So he would put out content. I would get at a certain time, and then we were building a relationship. He was having a retreat. He wanted me to pull up. Certain things ended up happening with the retreat where there was miscommunication. And I felt slighted because I felt like he had somebody that came in that did a talk for mental health for 30 minutes, and then I only got like 5-10 minutes, right? And for me, the ego,
I would feel slighted.
you know what I'm saying?
I would feel
So
slighted.
yeah. So the ego was saying to me, oh yeah, I gotta clip this business relationship. It went straight to, yeah, we gotta X this man out. Not even let's have a conversation. Let's
Mhm.
figure out his perspective. Let's get more feedback. My ego was like, nah,
He gotta go
he gotta go. He gotta go right away.
because
right?
he's not seeing my value.
Because
he's not respecting my
he's
value.
not respecting my value, right? Instead of having that conversation, and I held on to that for like 2 to 3 months. But what I was doing during that time was I was challenging myself, challenging the belief that, is this man really trying to slight you if you guys are working and he's pushing out content with you and he's trying to help you and he's giving you ideas? Is that really what happened? Or maybe there was a miscommunication. Right. So for me, one thing that I learned from when I, went through like my attachment healing is when you have an irrational thought, it's best to like write it down and then write down like almost like a pro con list, write down the rational thoughts next to it. But you have to be self-aware enough to understand that it's a rational thought.
Yeah.
Right. And so for me, I had to like challenge that irrational thought that he's slighting you and he doesn't care about you. Right. Because the rational thought was, he actually invited you out to his retreat. He's working with you on business. He's pushing people over to your business. He's talking about your business, promoting it. He's helping you with your business. These are all the rational thoughts that are combating the one irrational thought. And then we ended up having a conversation about it. And he was like, bro, I didn't even know that was the case. Like, you know what I'm saying? And this whole time I'm thinking we got to end a business relationship because of that. Right. So like that was an example that whenever I think about ego and business specifically, I think about that example because that's when they get to the thought process that, oh, black men don't know how to work together. And that's,
Do we?
I think we do. We working together right now.
Currently.
Yes.
Yes.
I think we do though.
You think so?
I think we do.
I personally feel that there's this unspoken competition amongst black men when they're from a particular profession. There's this scarcity that there can only be one, as opposed to the abundance mindset There's room for all of us.
What profession? You talking about mental health?
Any profession.
Okay.
Any profession. Right? And if you think about it, right, society creates this way of regulating who's number one, who's number two, who's number three, right? These lists, rapper lists, the MVP of the NBA, the championship, like all of these things to continue to promote who's higher and who's lower.
Yeah.
As opposed to an equal playing field.
Right.
So from your experience, Ken, being in the mental health field as well, have you experienced this sense of competition? Do you feel the need to compete?
I try to put myself in a position to not feel like I want to compete.
Okay.
Right?
Ooh,
But like
whoa, pause. To not feel like I want to compete.
Yeah.
As if competing is the go-to, but you're being mindful of not wanting to compete.
I could see how the environment could make it feel like competition is here, right? But at the same time, there's like this mantra, like is not competition's collaboration, right?
100%.
Right? And I kind of stick to that. And I hope at times when the environment is giving competition, I'm going to be there to infuse that collaboration aspect, change the vibe, change the energy. Right?
Have you felt slighted? As a Black male therapist in this field, being one of the go-tos in New York City, have you felt slighted in your position?
I feel that I may be missing invitations.
So yeah,
Right?
So another way of saying slighted.
Yeah.
Come on, man. If we're gonna pod, let's pod. Let's
I'm
pod.
giving it
He's
to-
getting it.
This is a safe space.
Let me speak on it,
No,
right?
you're right.
So I feel like I may be missing invitations on certain things.
Purposely?
I don't know if it's purposely.
Do you think that you've earned to be present?
Of course. That's why I feel like I missed the invitation.
Mm.
I think that at times now in the mental health field, there's becoming, when it comes to like mental health ambassadors, it's becoming gatekeepers.
Ooh. Ooh.
Right?
We going there? Because I have a lot to say.
Right?
You might be going there.
There's gatekeepers in certain realms. And we have to be mindful of that. Right? And it could, some people may not even realize they're gatekeeping. And it could be unintentional.
I disagree. Personally.
Yeah. I mean, it depends who you're talking about. Right?
Okay.
So, but at the same time, I'm talking generally speaking, it could be different behind the scenes issues that's going on. It could be budget issues going on. It could be the person who they hey, look, I have you here on the front line. You're the face of this situation, of this event, but at the same time, I'm the one making the decisions. So you're not really in control. And I'm misled who's in control.
So say that.
So we have to be mindful of that. But at the same time, somebody may not say, hey, look, I'm the face, but because I'm trying to build myself up as well. So there's a lot of variables that come into play when it comes to it. Now, if I'm going to be in my feelings and I can't diffuse myself from that feeling, I'm probably going to be knocked off course, like we talked about earlier.
Okay.
Right? So now what I'm trying to make define me is going to be redefined by what this person or that group or, that team is doing versus what I really want to do. That's why we have to be mindful of falling into that competitive realm, because it's like at the end of the day, we here to truly help people with their mental health. Are we here to beef? We West Coast, East Coast, right? So, and we see how that turned out.
Okay.
Right? So
fair enough.
I feel that bringing it back to the Black men, like I really want to see us as Black men working together and building. And you and I have talked before about that, and there's so much opportunity for everyone, whether it's time, whether it's money, whatever it is. accolades, whatever it is, there's so much opportunity for us. And we just have to work together. As they say, if you want to get somewhere fast, go alone. If you want to get somewhere far, you go together.
I personally feel that if most of us had regulated our own ego and did our work, the representation of Black mental health and the uprise of Black male therapists would be a lot higher today
Oh, without a doubt.
than what it is.
Without a doubt.
Going to you, man.
Mhm.
What you want to add?
To that?
Come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think your original question was, does he feel like he's been slighted?
Well, what I'm trying to get at, right,
Mhm.
is I think that we've been groomed to automatically compete against each other
Oh, okay.
as a means of survival, and
Oh,
that
yeah.
shows up in every profession,
Mhm.
including mental health.
Mhm.
So, since you are a creator in this space, a representation, a spokesperson, a face,
Mhm.
a brand,
Mhm.
a platform,
Yep.
have there been times where you felt slighted by others, or has there also been time where you feel like you need to compete?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Mhm.
All the time. I'll never sit here and lie and pretend like I get on social media and it's just me versus me. No, that's not me. I'm working there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying desperately to get there. But you scroll through social media. I always call social media a big Venn diagram. That's what everybody's doing, right? You scroll through every post you see, you put in your circle here, their circle here, you seeing what you have in common, what you have that's different. It's a big Venn diagram, and it becomes hard not to compete when that's all you're doing. So I try to minimize my time scrolling through, and then I try to do the work to regulate myself. But I've always find myself like comparing myself to other people's platforms, and why did this reel that they posted go viral when I posted something almost the same content, and it didn't go viral 2 weeks ago, and I don't even like how they post this, and now I post it. You know what I'm saying? So I do that.
I
I'm not
got
gonna
you.
sit here and cap. So yeah, I definitely do it. It's something that I'm actively working on because I do believe that there is abundance, and I think having that mindset that we have to compete with each other uh, puts us in a scarcity mindset, in a sense.
Well,
Sometimes.
competition can also be healthy,
No,
right?
absolutely. Mhm.
So, iron sharpens iron.
Mhm.
Dwayne Wade and LeBron are best friends, but they compete,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Steph and Clay, they're doing the 3-point contest. They're competing against each other, but they have respect for each other. The love is still there.
Mhm.
To me, I'm a competitor. I
Mm.
play soccer, I play basketball, whatever I do, right?
Mhm.
I like to compete.
Mhm.
But it's not due to a lack of disrespect or
Mhm.
due a lack of appreciation for others. If I think you dope, you drop a reel that's dope, like, oh, I'm coming for this.
Mhm.
But I'ma still comment, yo, that's dope. I'm coming for this.
True, I do that.
Right?
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Which is
okay.
healthy, which
Okay.
is loving, which is I'm pushing you and you're pushing me.
Mhm.
I can get on your platform, but also bring you on my platform.
Right.
Right. But then I'm gonna tell you, this might have been the best episode you got. Right? And that's okay.
Mhm.
To me,
Mhm.
the issue becomes when your the competitive nature
Mhm.
is leading to others being slighted or not being given certain exposure because you fear they
Mm.
might outperform you.
Yeah.
If I get outperformed, I'll shake you and be like, yo, shit, good job, man.
Oh yeah.
You won't get me again.
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
And to me, that's healthy. That's
Mhm.
needed. That's love. Right? We're
Mhm.
pushing each other.
Yeah.
But when we're blatantly sliding and acting like we're not seeing and not there's a lack of recognition, to me that's envy and that's jealousy and that's scary. That scares me.
You know what I like about what you just said that really connected the dots for me? You talked about you made a sports analogy. You said Dwayne Wade and LeBron, they best friends, but they compete.
Hell yeah.
And when I think about it in the mental health field, like why can't we do that? You know what I'm saying?
We can.
We can, exactly. That's what I'm
We
thinking about.
should.
And my thought
I
process
do.
was, right, like if I'm competing with this person, then that's negative or off rip. Right. And I think you just helped me to reframe the way I think about that.
Yeah.
Because I never compete and then slight.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I compete, follow, and share,
Engage.
like engage,
Correct.
comment, and I push people to the resource.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Let's compete to see who's gonna have the biggest platform by the end of the month. Okay,
Mhm.
now I got the biggest. Yo, pull up.
Mhm.
Let's grow your platform as well.
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
To me, as a beginner in the space, I felt there was a lack of mentorship.
There's definitely a
Right.
lack of mentorship.
A big lack of mentorship, and I was
Yeah.
looking for it.
Yeah.
I was asking for it. It was not
Mentorship or support?
both.
I feel like
I actually think you get more support as you're starting versus when you're somewhat arriving. Because when you're arriving now, like, oh, we're right here.
They're like, whoa,
Right?
I mean, it was
Hold
cool.
up.
It was cool
when you're starting, you know what I'm saying? Now you here.
You got 10.
You here.
No,
Let's work.
Uncomfortable.
You know?
You know what I'm saying? Nah, you're right though. You're right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Because I think what it is thought process when you're starting is like you're not a threat.
You're not a threat.
You know what I'm saying? You like
should never be a threat though.
Yeah, true. But that's not everybody's thought process, right? So at first it's like, that's the little goldfish. You know, I'm still, big homie in the tank.
I have a personal story where I created and dropped my cards, the Love Unlocked relationship cards, right?
Okay.
And I created a list of all the people that I would expect to support it, just of the strength that we're in the same field and we support each other.
Oh, you should have never made that list.
I have my reasons.
Okay.
Right. So I created that list and I said to myself, I'm gonna see whether or not I receive the same type of love that I would give, or am I just being slighted due to fear of competition or whatever my ego could come up with. Interestingly enough, I had the list of 10. 1 out of 10 purchased it.
Oh, you just wanted them to purchase it?
Yes. It's $50.
Oh, damn.
It's $50.
That's a light.
I've purchased your materials, your products. I've reposted them, right? I've shared them, and I created my master list of my expectations of us as brothers, and sisters within that same space. Are we really going to support and show love?
Yeah.
1 out of 10 did exactly that. The remaining 9 never did.
Yeah.
And since then, I told myself, okay, we are just social media. I'm not even going to call it colleagues, associates.
Yeah.
Right? We're not friends. We don't have that relationship. And that allowed me to not romanticize what I thought we had.
Yo, you know what's
Come on, man.
Can we
go ahead? Go ahead.
Man. Yo. So, I'm the type of person, man, like when I start having conversations with people, regardless of if it's business at first or whatever, like I always want to build some type of relationship with that person. And so it becomes hard when you're doing business with people who are being strategic with you and you're trying to be genuine. You get what I'm saying? Like I saw a post about that. And I've had relationships like that where my girl Naima, she'll have to tell me like, yo, that man ain't your friend. And I'm like, what you mean, babe?
My wife has said the same thing.
I'm like, babe, what you mean? Like we talk, we go out, we had
lead in with your heart.
You know what I'm saying?
You lead in
we
with
had dinner, all that, you know what I'm saying? Like we chilling.
Yeah, I'm out here posting your books,
you know what I'm
your
saying?
Journals, everything you got.
And then a few, some time passes, things happen in a relationship, things don't go the way that you want them to go, and you see how people start switching up.
And I love it though. Right? Because that just allows me to acknowledge and classify who we are and what I am to you, and that's perfectly okay.
Yeah,
as long as I am aware, it's cool. It's 100% okay.
Yeah,
right. So I'm no longer over romanticizing or feeling slighted because now I expect this.
Yeah,
I expect to not get that call.
Yeah,
I would actually be surprised if I did, and to be honest with you, I would actually deny it if I did.
Do you feel, or what do you think about approaching the 9 out of 10 who didn't support you in that?
They don't have to support me. You're not obligated to. You always have a choice, right? And I am free to respond however I choose to. And the way that I chose to respond is compartmentalizing that relationship, labeling it as such, and moving accordingly. I see you, nothing but love. I might drop a comment here and there, reshare something here and there that speaks to me that I think is great. It's never hate. But you'll never see me going out of my way to assist you or to highlight you because you've never done that for me. right?
I
And that's perfectly okay.
I can get with that.
Now here comes a competitive nature.
Hmm.
When I get next to you, there's a light, there's a platform, there's space, there's cameras.
Mm,
It's on.
mm,
Well,
mm.
Which would have happened no matter what, because I feel like iron should sharpen iron, right?
Mm.
We can show our skill sets while still being respectful to each other. It's not a slight.
Mm.
It's not disrespectful.
did y'all see Creed?
No,
I
not
didn't
yet.
see it. I didn't see it.
Man,
Not yet.
This is perfect.
Why?
Let's get into it. Yeah.
Short
Because
term.
I don't want to have no spoilers. You're probably gonna have to come out with this like 6 months later.
We've already
But-
heard what
but
happened in the movie.
The thing about Creed was it was two friends who grew up together, and the friend that both of them were boxing, right? Both of them were boxers. Creed is Michael B. Jordan and his boy, right? And what happened was that something happened where one had to go away.
He went to
And-
jail. He came back. He won
all
the
right, so we doing
championship.
the whole thing. All right,
Yeah,
so
we
boom.
won
I mean, that's
the
part of the
championship.
trailer.
Yeah.
That's part
Yeah,
of the trailer.
part of
I
the
know
trailer.
that. and I didn't watch
I
it.
ain't
That's-
ca- I ain't
that's-
catch
and
the
they were
trailer.
that's part of the
fighting each
trailer a
other.
little bit.
Okay.
I just, you
What
know-
what is
long
the
story-
takeaway?
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So pretty much they were at a position where they were collaborating.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a competition. And then from their separation, it became he came out of jail like, oh, look, like we together again.
He
We're
had
gonna
the
run
title.
We're gonna run this. We're gonna run this. You ain't see the movie. You
Okay.
gotta listen real quick.
I got
right?
you.
So
My fault.
so now the dude who came out of jail, he felt that title belonged to him. That life that his boy was living,
That's the envy and
belonged
jealousy
to him.
that I don't like,
right?
because you can't trust that.
That could get dangerous, and that's what happened. So it reached a point where when he got the title, y'all could still watch the movie and find out how he got the title. But when he got the title, he threw away that friendship. He literally punched him in the face for that title. So that envy, that greed, it could blind us, and we got to watch out for that.
Mm.
And that's really not even just we focusing on that, but that's the emotion, that's the anger that's stored inside of him.
That's
for
the
all those
ego.
years that was he was inside of the jail,
Right.
building up
Yeah.
and manifesting.
Mm.
So we have to be mindful about that, and that's why I was like, you know what? What do you think about communicating that with? Probably not all 9 of them, but the people that you really, I'm sure not all of them fell into the same line.
But here's why the communication is not needed, because that's an expectation from me. They've never accepted that expectation.
Right. That's true.
So that's me fantasizing an expectation of how others should feel toward a product that I dropped, because that's how I would have felt. Right. The keyword was romanticizing. Right. So it's no hate. It's no greed. It's no jealousy. It's no disrespect. I just now understand, and I'm able to radically accept the relationship that we have.
But did it start with disappointment for you?
Definitely.
Yeah. Because
Definitely.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, man, like when I romanticize relationships and they don't end up panning out how I want them to pan out, I always get disappointed. I call my girl up. I'm like, yo, man, you won't believe what this dude did, man.
Right?
You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I thought this dude was my man's and yada 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 yada. You know what I'm saying? I'll explain the situation and I'll go on for like 10 minutes. When I can rant about a situation for 10 minutes, that's when I know it really bothered me. And then I have to do the self-reflection to understand why. Like, why are you so bothered by this? And then it goes back to like, okay, you thought y'all had a certain relationship that y'all obviously now the information that's being presented to you shows you that it isn't, and you're hurt.
It's reality.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you have to accept that.
Yeah.
And you got to move forward with that.
Mhm.
And that's what I've done.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
I was accessible. I'm still accessible, but there's definitely an increased degrees of separation
Mhm.
before you get to me.
Mhm.
Right. So it's just those type of changes that I had to make in myself in order to heal my expectation, but also not allow my ego, because I felt so deserving and so entitled to that type of support that I would have
Right.
offered.
Right.
Right. So with that being said, fellas, can you disclose a time where you had to tap into your ego to overcome your imposter syndrome?
Oh yeah.
Because one things that we don't talk about is that in this field, in social media, in our profession in general.
Yeah.
There are these bouts of imposter syndromes that us black men experience.
Mhm.
How have you overcome your challenges in that aspect?
For me personally, so we talked about it earlier, right? Like I'm
Mhm.
26. Everywhere I go, I get little broed. You know what I'm saying? And I just understand that that's the dynamic, right? Like people gonna look at me once they hear you 26. It's like the whole dynamic changes, and I get that. I I understand that. Most people that are in tune with social media and what I do on the platform, they know that I'm young, right? They know that I don't have a mental health degree, right? And so for me, sometimes it can become that can be the catalyst for imposter syndrome, regardless of what it is that I've accomplished on the platform, regardless of what success people see. For me, it can sometimes be you're 26, you're young, and you don't have a degree. Why the hell are you doing this? And so I have some days where I wake up and I'm just like that. Like I'm like, yo, bro, you have an okay job. Like you don't need to be doing this. Like, why are you doing this? And then the ego kicks in, right?
Top tier.
Yo, bro,
The
look at
best in
what
the game.
you know what I'm saying?
Look what you've accomplished at
Exactly, right?
26.
And then the ego kicks in and then it helps me to get back to the equilibrium, right?
Mhm.
Not where I'm at super inflated and I feel like I'm better than everybody else, but it helps me to get out of the imposter syndrome so that I can be able to operate and help people.
Yeah.
And one thing that I tell people all the time about imposter syndrome is like you talked about the resume. I love that. The resume is what I tell people to look back on. When you're experiencing that imposter syndrome, you have to have a resume or set list of things that you've done for you to then flick back into that equilibrium where you can be able to operate. Because for me, I always go back and look, and the proof is in the pudding. Like
Yeah.
I go and look at the platform, I go and look at DMs, I go and look at testimonials, right?
Yeah.
Like, and that helps me to get back to the point where I'm like, all right, bro, this is why you're doing it. Like, regardless of what people say about degrees, regardless of what people say about age, regardless of any of those
That
other
means
things,
absolutely
this is what
nothing.
this is why you're doing it.
Yeah. And to just jump onto that train real quick,
Mhm.
something that I have not shared
Mhm.
with anyone except my wife is that
Oh, really?
my license renewal is coming up.
Oh, we're okay.
And I'm debating whether or not I eventually want to renew it.
Mm.
The boundaries that are put in place for therapists, I don't really subscribe to it as much.
We could have
Having to work with only those that are in your state, having to deal with insurance and all of that nonsense, I've outgrown that. I don't even identify myself as a licensed therapist
bro.
anymore, right? You know, on certain platforms when we're asked to introduce ourselves
Mhm.
and we'll just list everywhere we've been, everything we've done.
Mhm.
I don't feel the need to do that anymore because that does not communicate my credibility. Because I'm more interested in how credible am I going to sound after you've heard me, after you've experienced me, versus me trying to put in place my credibility before you even hear anything I have to say.
You have like a unique thing here, a level up imposter syndrome, right?
No, but if you think about it, right, I turn away a lot of clients because they're not in New York City.
You know,
Right? I turn away a lot of celebrity clients because you're not in New York City, and ethically speaking, I cannot work with you. Right. So then I have to go into coaching and create a whole other program, a whole other business, and etc. But I feel like the knowledge that I've acquired and the skill sets that I've possessed, that I have sharpened and mastered, transcends beyond having a license.
Yep.
More than likely, I'm going to renew it, right? But it's the fact that I'm even thinking about it surprised the fuck out of me.
Do both. You're going to have the coaching where you have the flexibility and you renew so you can. New York City needs you, bruh. They need you.
But can't you still practice in New York? Oh, no, you can't, right? You can't practice therapy in New York when you're not licensed.
So,
but you can do the coaching though.
Yeah. So you cannot practice as a therapist, but you can do the coaching. But again, I don't think. I think what I'm getting at, having a license does not validate my skill set.
Oh yeah, no, yeah,
right.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. I can still function without one, and I actually think it would be more beneficial to me to not have one because I can navigate and roam the whole country however I wish without those boundaries
Yeah, I'm gonna
that
go
are
out.
put in place.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say something a little wild here, and y'all can correct me because y'all are the therapists. I would say the license is more detrimental to the Black mental health field than it is helpful.
How's that?
I would say the reason why is because there are Black men, Black people all over the place. I can't work with you if I go sit in Florida, or you have a whole hindrance, or you have a whole you have to go through a whole different process to then see me.
Good point.
And I know for a fact that you could be able to help me.
Yeah, like I've identified you are the one I want to work with, but I can't.
You cannot work with me because I'm in a different state and there's licensure laws and all that kind of stuff.
But
for me personally, that's my issue with the license conversation. But I do understand the flip side of it, where it's like you need to have some type of
training.
You need to have some type of education. You need to have some type of assessment to make sure that you are taking care of people properly. I just don't like the fact that it has to be within state when, especially over the last 2 years, I guarantee, how many people are you seeing in person? Are you seeing many people in person? 3 people in person.
0.
Oh, 0.
All
0.
virtual, baby.
You gotta work on that symbol.
All virtual. You get what I'm saying?
Before we leave that topic,
yeah, no, go ahead. Yeah.
I've faced situations where I had clients who were making that migration down south, and it was like, yo, I can't work with you like that. And we've talked about the creative methods of, let's do it as coaching, let's do it as that. But hey, look, if we do it that way, it's no insurance.
Yeah.
Then you're out of pocket. And then it becomes this other issue. And we've talked about, like, this is a major issue, is about affordability of therapy.
Yep.
Now you could barely afford it, and you're using a therapist that you truly don't want to use because the one you want to use is out of state.
Yeah.
It becomes a big issue.
Yeah, that's part of what I'm trying to solve in Safe Haven. And so what we're doing in Safe Haven is we're creating a coaching program, and we're trying to have therapists come in and do coaching, but do it subsidized, right? So we're doing it in a sense where it's like, it's not $150, right?
Who charges $150?
Some people charge $1. Some therapists charge $1. Yeah,
bro.
my man said right here.
I'm messing with you. I'm messing with you.
No, but yeah, no.
I'm messing with you.
Yeah, but so yeah,
I'm saying 150 is low, actually.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's very low. So a lot of therapists are not even charging.
Not even charging 150.
But then we get into the whole, how much are insurance or reimbursing less?
Okay, wait. I've already done an episode on this,
but
so
we're not gonna get into it. Okay.
With
I'm
this
just saying,
conversation. But I also want to share, like, for me, one of I've come up with 2 ways to overcome my imposter syndrome. If you walk into my office, I have a wall full of diplomas and certifications. So whenever I don't feel like him, I walk in there and I look at it and I remind myself I'm top tier. Secondly, I have a voice note from my wife speaking life into me, reminding me all of the things that I've done and how powerful I am, how knowledgeable I am, right? Because my mentor pointed out about a year ago, I had an opportunity in a white-owned space to take space, but I chose not to. I kept on delaying it. But in the Black space, boy, make myself very comfortable, right? So when she pointed that out, man, I went home crying. I was in bed. I'm like, yo, that is true. That is true. And that's because I felt like I didn't belong, but I did. I felt like I didn't have the qualifications, but I did, because I was the primary one with that certification. Right? There's a lot of certifications that I have that I don't even talk about. Right? Because I feel like those does not describe who I am and does not establish my credibility, because I'm so far beyond that. Right? A lot of times, and us Black men in general, right? We tend to rely on certain things to validate our worth. Whether that's a necklace, whether that's a car, whether those are the brands that we wear, right? Back in high school, it was who had the freshest Jordans, right? Now, who got the biggest house, right? All of those things, I've found ways to kind of deconstruct those ideas around me, which is not, I'm at the point where I can debate whether or not I want to renew my license.
Let me cut you off for a second. Those things don't no longer define you anymore.
No.
Right? They know, but we have to keep in mind here that for others, it defines them.
I
right?
agree.
It defines them. And when we minimize the power of that, it could be harmful to somebody else who's trying to build that confidence and self-esteem. You reached a level of self-actualization that others are on a journey to get to right now. So, it's difficult for people to see it from that realm, because if that's the case, it will be a very healthy world, right? Because those Jordans, those chains, those designers, all of those things, sometimes we feel so empty inside. We need those things to symbolize and give us our value.
I
right?
still wear those things. I
Right.
still do those things. But the meaning that it once had is no longer applicable to me.
And that's how we measure that we're getting better.
Correct, right? That's the regulated ego. That's the healthy ego. So that's my journey. And it scares the shit out of me. Being able to say, yo, I don't know if I want to renew my license. That's fucking scary.
But you're gonna do it.
We don't know. I got 30 days. We don't know.
What's the process? What you got to do for that? You got to take an assessment again? Or?
Nah, all I got to do is go online, click it, and pay the fee.
Oh man, you doing that?
Pay the fee.
Yeah, man, get out of
pay
here.
the
You
fee.
doing it.
But
doing it,
Security
man.
code in the back of the car.
But I am very interested in a world where I am not a licensed therapist and how I would navigate that. That takes me outside of my comfort zone, because I can no longer say, "Hey, I'm Mac. I'm a licensed black male therapist," right?
You're
Because
still a therapist.
but the license is
That's like a status symbol.
to some degree, right? So I'm envisioning.
Thinking about getting into.
Yeah.
So I'm
sure.
envisioning a world in which I no longer subscribe to
that.
those standards of elevation and validation, so I can see how I would navigate it and how I would feel.
So let me ask you this, right?
Do you see my healing?
No.
Shut up to me, man.
No. Yeah.
I'm not here healing.
No, nah. I think that's dope. I think what I was gonna ask you is what
Buying it. He ain't buying it.
You not buying it? What would happen if you didn't renew your license and you did say you wanted to do it down the line? Like actually you decided down the line you wanted to go and get it. You would have to take the test again?
No. I could just renew, or even if I got to take the test, I would just take the test. But it's just not because the younger me, when I started in this process,
that was like a big,
and I was licensed, I felt accomplished to some degree.
Yeah.
Right, I've met that milestone.
Right
now, I'm in a upperclassman. I no longer feel like that. That alone makes me feel that way, because I've been around others that are licensed or have certain status or title that really don't mean shit to me no more. Right? I've met some dope coaches, but back in the days, I feel like coaches were not. I felt some type of superiority over them because of my title and my license. I no longer feel that way. I collaborate with a lot of coaches that are amazing. What I'm realizing is that those titles and those attainable steps no longer dictate who's good at it or who's not. Right? So that's why when you speak to the way that you've been slighted or your imposter syndrome because you don't have a mental health degree, to me, I would love to say, bro, it don't matter. But I know for you right now, where you are in your journey, that matters to you, and that's a step that you want. And I respect that. I'm at a phase where I'm like, I don't even think I need that no more.
That's why I like having this conversation with you, because I get to see 10 years down the line, this is potentially where I'll be at.
Don't age me like that, bro.
No, I'm not aging. Oh my God. I'm not aging you. I'm saying if I were to do it now. Yeah.
I know, yeah.
I would have never thought you were 26, not because how you look, but the wisdom you got, the experience you got. I would have never thought that.
I appreciate that.
You know, and I talk to a lot of people around your age. I'm 38. I talk to a lot of people around your age, and a lot of them, majority of them, do not have the wisdom that you have around certain
Yeah,
things.
man.
We were talking about this earlier. We were mentioning how I just went to Ghana and I learned my dad got a whole different first name than the name that,
I guessed that.
I should have known, right? I should have known, right? But what I'm trying to say is I sit down with my elders a lot, man. And what I
Yes.
tell people, my age, younger, any age, it doesn't really matter, is you got to sit down and just listen, right? And that's why I like having conversations with, people that are older than me that can impart wisdom on me.
Are you calling me an OG?
No, y'all to me, y'all are OG.
But
You know what I'm saying? But
from
yeah,
African descent, that's
that's
big.
yeah,
You know,
mhm,
elders, that's where you get your wisdom.
yeah,
The young people, that's the warriors,
mhm,
right? So that's how they carry themselves. That's how
yep.
their proverbs, the
Yep.
direction of proverbs go. So
That's how
that
it's
makes
always
sense.
been growing up. It don't matter how. It doesn't matter if you're 2 months older than me. You're elder.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? So you can always get that wisdom.
Which leads me to this question:
Mhm.
Who are the OGs in the mental health game, and how have they supported you? You
Ooh,
don't have to answer that, but
ooh,
I just wanted to insert that question right here, right now,
mm,
right? Because now we have a responsibility to be better to those that are coming up
mhm.
than others were to us.
Can I say something though? I've had a couple of people that really I would. Can I shout them out, or is that
Go ahead,
okay?
man.
Cool. James Harris, Mental Heal.
Ha.
Yo, that dude, bro.
Shout out to James.
No, James is a good dude, bro.
I love his style of clothing.
Nah, seriously,
I like James.
nah,
Cool dude.
he's a great dude, bro.
Yeah.
Like when I tell you, when
He
I
give up the game.
bro, I promise you, when I tell you, when I first started, right, and I wasn't anywhere near the point where it's like you can even look at me as having a platform. And he had already had his stuff established, right? You're licensed therapist, you're doing what you need to do, you have a business on the side, you're doing a bunch of stuff. And I remember like reaching out just about, doing something. And we did a whole live that helped me to like build my platform a little bit more. And then on top of that, what he did after that was he would check in, bro. And he still does that to this day. Every so often, he would just send me a DM, yo, bro, how's everything going? You good? You know what I'm saying? Like, is everything straight?
Tell
And
him right now. Tell him.
James, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so
Mental
much.
Heal, James Harris.
Mental Heal, man.
We appreciate you, my man.
_2_
It's my
Heal.
guy.
James Harris is a good dude.
my guy.
Another good dude is Jason Wilson. I don't know if you are familiar.
Of course. Man.
Yeah, Jason Wilson is I've had the opportunity to like meet him and have conversations with him.
I like
And
the book too.
yeah, Battle Cry is a good book. Cry Like a Man.
book.
I don't know if you've read that. That's a great book. But Jason Wilson has, definitely giving me words of wisdom. I think of him as like the OG that gives you the game, right when you need it. You know what I'm saying? Like I've had a conversation with him when I was having some things that were going on, and it wasn't even a long conversation. It was probably like maybe 10 to 20 minutes. And in those
shit out of you.
In those 10 to 20 minutes, I got everything that I needed. You know what I'm saying?
You don't
So
play.
Jason Wilson, I appreciate you so much. Thank
Traumatized human unable to grieve.
you.
Like, that's a thug. I'm like,
yeah, he be
My turn.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Owens.
Okay.
I love you. I appreciate you. I purposely avoid you when I know I cannot be in your presence at the moment because you're about to speak some life into me and give me certain responsibilities that I'm shying away from as of right now. But I love you. I appreciate you. You've been very instrumental to my career. Shantina Herod, I call you my mentor. Always pick up the phone whenever I need to chat, whenever I need to get something off my chest, whenever I need clinical assistance. You are there for me. Sarah Johansson, nothing needs to be said. You know what's up. I love you guys.
I'm by myself. Here, man.
I don't get a shout out?
Yeah. Huh?
That's crazy.
Well, Mac, of course.
I'm joking.
But when I'm thinking of the OGs, I'm thinking like
I know.
You don't want to be considered an OG, so
I'm not.
I can't.
I'm a young buck in this game, and this
But
is my first year.
You know what's
It's my first year.
Something like when it comes to the therapy is not even therapy, just like the culture of mental health, right? You don't have to be a licensed clinician to be around licensed clinicians, right? So the energy is different than ever before. I never seen this. When I was in grad school, it never existed like this. Like you have meetups to come link up with other people in this who have this interest.
That I've put in place in New York City because there was a lack of that, and I was looking for that. So that space was never created.
I was going with that was one of the first events that I went to was Mac's event. Found his event through Eventbrite.
I didn't know who invited him. I looked at this dude was taller
I'm
than me.
like,
I felt some type of way.
I think it was either free or $20, something affordable. It was like you get a headshot, you get food, you get drinks. I'm like, okay, and you
For the
meet another
culture.
therapist. I'm like, yo, yeah, and it was for black. It wasn't only for black therapists, but it had that baseline. I was like, let me go over there and see what's going on. And from there, it kind of kickstarted everything. I connected with Mac there and other therapists that I still connect with, and we continue to build.
That's fine.
And we provide support to each other. Like, we don't truly just rely on these mentors. Like, we're here like, yo,
we're mentoring each other. We're supporting each other.
You could do better. We give that feedback to each other where it's needed, because now it's like, all right, there's a community building, and that's where we're at.
That's fire.
Like, we can understand when it's somebody's season, right? So if it's Ken's season, all of the support goes to Ken.
Right.
What do you need? How can we show up for you? Let's blow your shit up, and vice versa. So this way everybody feels the same amount of support. Those that are not ready get to experience it and learn and practice to the point that when it's time for them, they already have experienced so much that they have a higher baseline to go from.
Right.
Final question. When was the last time you celebrated yourself, and what did you celebrate? Black man. Learn to celebrate yourselves, man.
The last thing I celebrated, I could say I truly celebrated, was putting that the children's affirmation book out.
Fire.
Congratulations on that, by the way.
Appreciate it.
Author.
Yeah.
And I got 3 copies.
Yeah.
Just saying.
There we go. We got to support each other.
Nah, I'm saying.
And
who's on your master list?
It was on the list, on the bucket list of things to do, and it kind of opened me up to just new ideas now, just from doing that. And the book was based off of my son, and I'm like, you know what? I need to create something for him. Like, even this morning, I put the book in my daughter's bag because we had a parent-teacher conference, and she wanted to have some new books for the kids to read. So I put that in there. He said, "That's my book." And it brought me joy and fulfillment just hearing him say that. It wasn't that that was literally his book, but he knows, KJ, that's me.
Yes.
And KJ is a reflection of me, and that's why I named it that. So I'm like, I'm going to give you a legacy and something to hold on to and to kind of cherish and kind of have something to be like the foundation of your morals and your beliefs and how to moving forward, because there's nothing but affirmations in there.
Yeah.
So, and the funny thing about it is I kind of like eased it out, and I was very humble about it. And people began to say, yo, I love it, and this and that and this and that. And I was like, I got to truly celebrate this, So, I do little things to celebrate, whether it's getting my favorite meal or taking myself out somewhere, giving myself a space to rest.
You see, you're way too humble. Allow me. Ladies and gentlemen, the best children book that has been dropped by a black male therapist is by my boy here, Kenald Bernad. Okay? He has the best book of this century, soon to be on the New York Times bestseller list. If you're going to celebrate yourself, one thing I'm good at is to celebrate others. You did an incredible job, amazing product. You created something that's going to live forever. And for that, on behalf of all of us black men and black male therapists, we say thank you and we appreciate you very much, and clap for you, brother.
Gotta give you your flowers while you can smell.
Come on, man.
Gotta give you your flowers while you can smell.
What about you, bros? What you did?
Last time I celebrated myself. I'm not really good at that, man. I won't lie.
So let's celebrate you now. What's one thing that you've accomplished that you should be celebrated for?
So we got 250 men in Safe Haven right now, which is definitely amazing.
Black men?
Yeah, black men. Yeah, we have 250 black.
Triple clap for that.
You say in there as providers, or
no? They subscribe to
subscribe.
They subscribe to this service where we try to help them get paired with a therapist.
Not that we try, where we succeed in helping them.
Well, some of them we succeed in. Some of them don't want the therapist, so we just
But they're not ready yet.
they're not ready.
And that's okay.
Yeah. So
But
I
you
get what
succeeded in
yeah.
your goal.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I definitely get it.
Sometimes you got to take them to the lake. It's their prerogative whether or not they want to drink.
And I've had, you know what's interesting? I'll talk to that just a little bit. I've had a struggle with that, because it's like you have a platform and you know that you've built it with a consumer in mind, and you know that there's consumers that are on the platform that are using it to the full extent. And you have some people that's like, they just come on, they'll read a couple things, they won't comment, say anything, and it's like, yo, how can I pull it out of you? You know what I'm saying? So I struggle with that sometimes. But to get back to the original, the original point, 250 men in a platform that's dedicated to them healing, opening up, being vulnerable. That's a 250 black men. That's a big, you know what I'm saying? That's a big accomplishment. And
Talk your talk, man.
It took a lot to get there. So I definitely feel like that's something that I need to congratulate myself for more.
Okay. Those 250 men, they can't say they didn't have access to it. It's
Right.
their prerogative to
Right.
drink it, but
Right.
they had access.
Right.
So with that being said, we definitely want to take a second to celebrate you on that major accomplishment. Kat, can inside of this Trader Joe's bag, there's an item in there. Can you pass it? May you please deliver it to our esteemed guest for this amazing accomplishment. I have been paying very close attention to your platform and the work that you have been doing in New York City. I think that you're amazing. I think that you are one of one. I think you're him. So on behalf of all of Black Male Therapists, we want to hand you these flowers.
And what you just said earlier,
these flowers,
and
we just want to take a second to celebrate you, my man.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Can we all clap, please? 250 black men seeking therapy. Let's go.
At
Appreciate you for that, man.
I appreciate
Amazing at 26. God damn, I'm
you remember
jealous.
the Jay-Z when he had Rockefeller in Hot 97? Like, he's only 16. When he had Chris,
I'm not gonna lie. That's a little. I
I'm showing
don't have
my age.
Yeah, I don't have.
I'm showing my age. Man,
My man said,
man.
You know what? I'm not even going to say that.
Do you have it? Do you have that?
I have no idea what
He didn't
what
listen.
we're talking about.
Okay.
He ain't know.
He was born and raised here. I was not.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? I swam here.
Oh,
Feel
okay.
me? No, I was 45 days in the ocean to get here. At the age of 7. What? Hold up, 14, and to see what I've become today, man. It's a success. It's a very major success story.
Wait, you actually? No, you serious? You swam?
No.
No, I'm about to say all right, because I was about
American Airlines.
I was about to say like nah.
Now just to tie things up in terms of celebration, that is one thing that I have not done this year. I've noticed and realized that I've accomplished a lot of amazing things, but I haven't really taken the time to sit down to really celebrate and bask in what I have done. That is scheduled for June. So I know that's not healthy. I don't even know what. I just know in June I'm sitting down. I ain't doing nothing. I ain't turned the phone or nothing. I'm resting.
What if your client told you that they gonna celebrate in June?
No,
you would challenge.
I fully understand. I fully understand that the way that I'm going about this is not the best. But if I'm being honest, I know what my goals are, and I've been working toward them. That when I meet them, to me, okay, cool, checked. Next, right? But I am working with my therapist in acknowledging myself more and taking the time to celebrate myself, right? So there's still some growth that I have to do. But when that celebration comes, man, it will be me sleeping for 12 hours a day. That's the way that I want to celebrate.
You follow the Nap Ministry?
No.
You should follow them.
Yeah?
Yeah, follow them. I think they'll help you with that thought process a little bit. At least around sleep and like getting rest and all that kind of stuff.
No, I have 2 kids. What is rest? You know what I'm saying? What is rest?
I don't know what you're saying because I don't have kids.
Yeah, I know. All right.
Y'all bringing kids into this?
He got a whole soccer team.
Wait, how many kids you got?
4.
Oh.
Got a whole soccer team, man.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I ain't sleep since 2008.
Exactly. So I would like to officially thank you guys for being present, for partaking in this conversation with me. This is my first time actually having men being part of the podcast.
That's a major
I didn't
compliment.
realize that.
Mm,
Most of my relationships tend to be with other women,
mm,
personally speaking. So I wanted to purposely be more mindful of that and create a space and actually share my platform with other Black men. And I am thankful and just elated that you guys chose to share this milestone with me. So I just want to say thank you.
mhm.
And please let people know where they can find you on
Yeah,
all platforms.
absolutely. So the platform is Express Yourself Black Man. That's exactly how it's spelled. And it's expressyourselfblackman.com. If you guys are interested in Safe Haven, interested in us helping you to find a therapist, helping you to connect you with resources, you can sign up for the wait list right now. That's at expressyourselfblackman.com/safe-haven-waitlist. We have over 100 people signed up for the wait list right now. So definitely get in, because once we start the enrollment back up, it's just going to be based off of capacity, however many therapists can fill slots. So you want to make sure that you get that notification right away. So yeah, and then the platform for Safe Haven, if you want to look at like the Safe Haven content, is Black Man Safe Haven on Instagram.
Nice. Thank you for that.
Great. You can find me on IG. I am Kenald. IAMKENALD. You can also reach me at kbcounselingservice.com. I do have some availability for people in the New York area looking for therapy, but even if I cannot, work with you for whatever reasons, I do help people find therapists as well. So it's not that, hey, look, you get a hard no over here and you got to go back to the drawing board. I will help support you find a therapist.
Nice. And you can find me on Instagram as talk2mac_therapist. Talk, the number 2 Mac, MAC_therapist. Make sure that you are following the podcast Ménage À Mind, MENAGEA Mind. Think of Ménage à Trois, but instead of the trois, choose your mind. Get it? It's a threesome with your mind. All right. Make sure that you subscribe, like, and comment on all videos. Make sure you also subscribe to our Patreon. And I have no availability for the next 2 years, so go to Canal. Thank you guys. It was a pleasure. Until next time.
On the next episode of Ménage À Mind.
Who can survive longer, me or my depression? Try not to make my decisions based on my past trauma.
When I get a thing a house because of you.